So when I say prospecting, what I mean by that is these are audiences that have never been exposed to your brand. They haven't been to your website. They haven't been to your Facebook page or Instagram profile. They haven't watched one of your videos. And you can know this for certain for now because you can use exclusion audiences. So when you create a prospecting campaign, you're going to want to exclude anyone who's been to your site, watched your videos, etc. The first thing you got to think about as a marketer is this is your first impression. Someone's scrolling on their phone. What are you going to say? And so when you think about it, that's actually pretty different than what you might say to someone who's already been on your site or has already watched your explainer video. And so this concept of dividing your brain into prospecting and retargeting is a good way to reach your consumer kind of where they're at in their buying journey. Does that make sense, Steve?
Go back 5-6 years ago, it was very different on Facebook. Converting a cold audience was a lot easier. Mm-hmm. But right now, taking an audience that's never heard of you, doesn't know you, doesn't trust you, it's the whole like, know, and trust thing, right? And so, that audience, if we don't treat it differently, that's where most Facebook campaigns fail that I've seen, because people are trying to create a cold audience and treat it like somebody who's going to get ready to buy.
You should never have retargeting audiences combined with prospecting audiences. They should be totally separate. And so the first reason is performance-based, right? If you're combining those two, you're gonna suffer a little bit because you're sending the wrong messages to the wrong people. And the second thing is tracking. If you've got a retargeting audience mixed in with your prospecting audience and you're getting results, you won't know which is responsible for that if you don't have it organized properly. A solid naming convention, separating your prospecting audiences into different campaigns than your retargeting audiences is a great first step. And if you can get that done, you can evolve from there and iterate and continue to get better, which is kind of what the game is all about, right? What people don't realize is what the graphic is actually supposed to do is stop the scroll, right? Because people are going to know it's an ad probably before they're even done seeing the whole thing, right? Because you can kind of tell there's a little sponsored tag. We just kind of know how to operate in social media. So if you don't stop the scroll, it doesn't really matter what your offer is or what your post copy says or if you use an emoji or not, right? You got to stop the scroll. Basically, what you need to be thinking as you're writing this copy is, I've earned enough of this person's attention for them to kind of skim my copy. What am I going to tell them that's going to sort of tickle them? It's going to ask a question. There's a lot of different things you can try. You don't want to have a complex message on your first touch, right? It wants to be one clear thought. Don't try to, so Steve, this is something that people don't realize. Your Facebook ad is not selling a product or service. You are selling a click. Think about that, okay? Once the person is off your ad and onto your landing page or opening up your lead gen form or in your store, they're not thinking about the ad anymore. They forgot about that 10 minutes ago and it's only been 2 seconds. Point is, sell the click, not the thing itself, not the product or the service. And so there's a couple of different ways to do that. Obviously, you can ask a question, there's different techniques, but creating a curiosity gap is not a bad way to do it.
So you talked about the 3 different levels, like the photo or the video, the headline, the text message. Now, obviously, those are 3 different variables, right, in one ad. So how do you test which variable is working or which variable isn't working?
Yeah. And so the simple answer is to try one thing at a time, right? So generally speaking, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the exact same copy with 2 different graphics. The graphic or the video is always the first thing I test because, again, you can't stop the scroll. It doesn't really matter what you did.
So this is something that most of us have been doing Facebook advertising for a while, right? If you put up 2 or 3 different photos as an example, and lots of them, the one you throw in last and you're like, let's just see what happens. Here's the one that works, right?
It is overwhelmingly, it's not the one I expect. I've been through it so many times. And when you're fighting with a client on sort of, can I use this ad creative or whatever, you just got to tell them, hey, you hate this one? That'll probably be the best one. Let's see in a week, make a bet with them or something. You're exactly right though. It's never the one you expect. Dynamic creative sounds amazing in theory, and I've had good results for it in certain cases. Other times, it just seems to be a extremely frustrating part of the algorithm that I don't have any control over, and so I don't use it anymore. And it's purely based on experience. time as we know it in Facebook ads land. Time is relative to your budget, right? Small budget, need lots of time. Huge budget, can test in a day or 2 days or something like that. So it really depends. And so what I think, and I tell people who are kicking the tires on Facebook and Instagram ads that at minimum set aside $3,000 a month in ad spend, because otherwise, like if you're at that 3,000 mark, you're probably going to want to learn some techniques and to do it yourself, because what you're going to pay in fees to an expert is going to be, before you're ready to dive in, make sure you have like a proven offer. Like don't, unless you have a budget to blow, but like the idea is this has worked in other channels. It works organically. We have something that works through word of mouth. Is like, it's ads don't make or break the product, right? It has to work itself. It is ad account organization. Simply because ad builds take a long time, and there's a lot of maneuvers you have to do in the Facebook Ads Manager. You have to look back, months from now and reporting. Organize your ad accounts into prospecting and retargeting, test different audiences within those, and it's going to make your life so much easier.